Hey everybody, this is Coach Tom from TL Performance. This is my second go round at the podcast recording. Maybe when I get a little bit better at the technology, I'll create a graphic or something other than my face, although I haven't even decided if I'm going to include the graphic of my face, so maybe you won't even be seeing that. Um, yeah, so I've been getting a lot of clients lately who have been, going to a personal trainer for years or played a sport, and their body has been hurting more and more, and they're really looking for a solution. When I get to know them, I talk to them a little bit. It's interesting because I oftentimes find out that they never learned some of the most basic things. And you got to learn the basics before you can even get to doing some of the more specific things in training. But that's I want to talk about that because in the training industry, functional training came around in the early 2000s. It was, to give everyone a little bit of history, um, Ian King published his books, the Get Buff series in the late 90s, and he's someone who's always said training should be specific to the sport specific, that it should have a functional, AK, which is almost in my I really cringe nowadays to even say functional of any kind. And then there was a couple of coaches who took his books, and because he's from Australia, he's not American, plagiarized them word for word, published them in America, and partnered up with a equipment supplier, and they created this term, which functional training, which became a marketing term. And oh man, there's been so many different toys, I use that term, that come out because it's interesting. I'll never forget when I started learning to stretch, for example. um, to do a calf stretch, you don't need any equipment at all. In fact, most stretching, you might need like a stretch band or a towel, and that's about it. So what are you going to spend on that? 25, $30? It's not very profitable. And they came out with this calf stretching plastic device that's like on a rocker, and you put your foot in it and so forth. I'm sure they sell it for, $20, $30. So, along with all kinds of other gadgets where you either need equipment, or you have to rely on someone who's going to pay for a certification and so forth. And it's just kind of spiraled out of control. And it's it's just laughable to see, because if people learn the basics about stretching and the basics about how to do self massage or foam roll, make sure they get sleep, eat proper nutrition, are happy, that kinds of things, it can transform their sport, their life, without even beginning to get into the specifics of training. So learn the basics first before you start going all crazy out there. And then it'll be interesting to see, like, what happens, what are the trends in people's body and training going forward, because there's not going to be another plagiarism like that. The master himself, Ian King, wrote those books, and all his training methods work better than any I've ever come in contact with. And I mean, when I was a personal trainer, before becoming a physical prep coach and before becoming a KSI coach, I took so many seminars, and it was just evident immediately when I listened to Ian that he knows exactly what he's talking about. And if the plagiarizers got it wrong, which they did, they don't even understand the concepts. And that's kind of how it goes when you don't study and become competent at something, and you just put it out there like you do, then your understanding is off base. So if you're off base from the beginning, then all your ideas after that are going to be off base. I mean, that's kind of how science works, right? In order to figure out the solution to a problem, you need to come up with a starting point that's accurate. If your starting point's off, then you're just going to go off on wild goose chases and down some crazy maze of what the fucks. And that's I think what's happening with training is it's become crazier and crazier, because everyone's obsessed with strength training and think that everything that happens is weakness and so forth, and the whole model is just so fucked that I feel sorry for people in the future. I mean, it's nobody. I don't like to hear when someone has a serious injury because I can almost feel how much that would have hurt, and I know how debilitating that is in your life. We take it for granted, right? If you're in pain, it's really difficult to enjoy things. And do anything that you do enjoy and you want to do, whether it be hiking or playing soccer or basketball, or even going to the gym. So, man, don't know where that's going to go. But you don't have to be like that. You can learn how to do it properly. You can make smarter decisions. And one of the first things you can do is stay away from trends. You can observe them and ask yourself question, is this a good idea? But be very, very wary of that, and learn about your body, learn about your training. Don't be afraid to make mistakes because there isn't a one size fits all answer. And again, go back to the beginning, learn the basics. You gotta know the basics. It's not okay to not know. And if you didn't know, and then you find out, to quote Jim Rohn, once you find out, then you got to do it. So learn the basics. Not sure what the basics are? We can have a chat. Because in order for me to help you, I got to learn a little bit about you as a human, and I got to learn about what you're doing so that I can give you specific answers and help you more effectively. And you can do that by sending me an email, tom@tlperformancela.com. You can reach me on Instagram if you like, coach.tomleggett. You can reach me on my website, tlperformancela.com. You can comment underneath this video if you like as well. And ask a question because there are no answers without questions. So if you don't have any questions, then I can't help you. So until next time, think about your questions. This is Coach Tom. See you then.